So AI is pretty much everywhere now, right? Especially in cybersecurity. It's become the absolute backbone of how we defend our systems. It's the only way defenders can even hope to keep up with the sheer volume of threats out there. But what happens when that super powerful tool makes a mistake? And I'm not talking about a small glitch. I mean a big, confident error, one that can kick off a catastrophic chain reaction.
And look, that's not an exaggeration at all. Think about it. In a modern security operations center, AI is really the engine. It's what's accelerating threat analysis and automating all that tedious work. And that frees up our human analysts to focus on the really tricky stuff, the things they do best. So yeah, we're not just using it anymore. We are absolutely depending on it.
And that right there is the heart of the problem. See, the AI isn't just taking a wild guess. It's presenting a totally flawed conclusion with this air of absolute certainty. And that makes it so dangerous if we just trust it blindly.
Okay, so let's be super clear here. We're not talking about some sci-fi movie where the AI becomes sentient or evil. Nope. This is about a much more fundamental and, frankly, more immediate flaw in how these models actually work.
So what is an AI hallucination? Well, it's basically when a model just makes something up. It sees what it thinks is a pattern in its data, it makes a leap from there, and then it delivers a completely wrong conclusion. And here's the kicker. It does this without giving you any warning that its reasoning might be off. The most important thing to remember is this: the machine has no idea it's wrong.
And believe me, this isn't just some academic, theoretical problem. This stuff can turn into a real-world disaster fast. I mean, imagine an AI spitting out insecure code that introduces a brand new vulnerability. Or what if it completely misses a threat during validation, telling an analyst, yep, this malicious file is totally safe. It could even cook up a remediation plan that ends up taking down your entire production system. Every single one of these is a massive point of failure just waiting to happen.
Okay, so a single error is bad. We get that. But the risk here is evolving. We're moving beyond these one-off mistakes and into something far more dangerous. We're talking about the hallucination cascade. Think of it like a domino effect, where one tiny error triggers a whole chain of terrible decisions.
And what's driving this big escalation? It's the rise of what we call Agentic AI. Now, I want you to think way beyond your standard chatbot here. These are autonomous agents designed to achieve goals all by themselves. You could give a security agent a goal like, hey, find and patch all the critical vulnerabilities on our web servers. And it will go off, decide which tools to use, run commands, apply patches, all without a human needing to sign off on every little step. And it's that autonomy, that freedom, that can turn a tiny spark of an error into a raging fire.
So here's the difference in a nutshell. A standard hallucination? That's just one bad answer from the AI. But a cascading hallucination, that's where that one bad answer becomes the first domino to fall in a long chain of bad logic and dangerous actions, with absolutely no one stepping in to stop it.
And if you're thinking this still sounds a little theoretical, just look at this number, 63%. That's the probability of a total task failure when you have just a tiny 1% error rate at each step, compounded over 100 actions. It's the scary power of compounding risk, right? A tiny misstep at the beginning leads to a slightly bigger one, which leads to another, until the whole thing is completely off the rails. For an AI doing a complex security task, failure starts to look almost inevitable.
Okay, so how does a disaster like this actually get started? Let's break down the anatomy of an AI failure. We're going to look at the specific ways attackers can kickstart a hallucination, or, even scarier, poison an AI agent over time.
Well, first up, prompt injection and poisoning. It can all start with a single malicious input. An attacker can carefully craft a prompt that literally hijacks the AI's original instructions. This input is like a thought seed. It plants one bad idea that then blossoms into a whole sequence of compromised actions.
Now this one's a lot more subtle, and maybe even more dangerous. You see, these agentic AIs have memory, so they can learn over time. But what if that memory gets corrupted? An attacker could feed it misleading data, slowly creating this false internal narrative. The agent's whole reasoning gets skewed, and it might make a completely catastrophic decision days or even weeks later, all based on that poisoned memory. And remember, these agents don't just think, they do things. They're hooked up to real-world APIs and developer tools. So, a hallucination isn't just a bad thought, it can lead to a real, physical action, like making a faulty API call or messing up a terminal command that brings down a whole system.
And maybe the most unsettling risk of them all, the rise of shadow AI agents. Just think about that. These are agents that are unmonitored, maybe they're misconfigured, and they're operating totally invisibly inside a network. They can just move from system to system, kicking off these hallucination cascades without leaving any obvious trail. That makes them incredibly difficult to hunt down.
All right, so we've painted a pretty scary picture. I know, it's a big problem. The question is, how do we fight back? Well, the answer isn't to just throw out AI altogether. It's to completely rethink our relationship with it. And it all starts with putting humans right back in the loop, at the very center of the equation.
And this is the key mindset shift. You have to view AI as a collaborator, not something you just delegate a task to and then walk away. Think of it like a junior partner who's incredibly smart, incredibly fast, but also sometimes completely wrong. Their work always needs to be reviewed and validated by a human.
So how does that philosophy turn into practical safeguards?
Well, for starters, it means a human analyst needs to validate every single AI recommendation before it goes live. No exceptions. It also means we need to train our teams to trust their gut instinct, to recognize when a result from the AI just feels off. And finally, it means cleaning up our data hygiene, cutting through all that background noise from alerts so both the humans and the AI can focus on what really matters, using UIs that draw our eyes to the most important things.
Okay, so we've got the high-level strategy. Let's get tactical. What does an actual, concrete security playbook for dealing with these advanced AI risks look like?
So here's a 6-step playbook that really brings all this together. Step 1, implement goal validation loops. Basically, before an agent takes a big, high-impact action, its plan gets a second opinion from another model or even a simple rules-based system. Step 2, sanitize inputs and restrict tool access. This is just security 101, right? Treat every input as hostile and give the agent the absolute bare minimum tool access it needs to do its job, nothing more. Step 3, enforce strict memory hygiene. The AI's memory can't be a black box. It needs to be logged, versioned, and rotated to prevent that long-term poisoning we talked about. Next, step 4, monitor for lateral movement. You got to track your AI agent's activity across the network just like you'd track a human attacker. Step 5, and this one is crucial, fail open and alert. If an AI's confidence in a decision drops below a set threshold, it needs to stop in its tracks and flag a human for review, not just take a risky guess. And finally, step 6, continuous red teaming. You need your own teams constantly trying to trick, poison, and break your AI agents. You have to find these weaknesses before the bad guys do.
And I really want to leave you with this idea, because it's a powerful one. We need to stop treating the agent's memory, its vector store, like some passive database. We have to start treating it like production code. And that means bringing all the rigor of software engineering to it. You unit test it, you put it under version control, and you pen test it.
Look, this technology isn't slowing down. Not at all. Agentic AI is only going to get more autonomous, more powerful, and more integrated into everything we do. And so that leaves us with one last, really critical question you should be asking yourself. Your AI is evolving. Is your security playbook ready for it?